How are you
Yes,
doing?
I'm good, thank you.
No problem. My name is Douglas Kenny, and this is Brendan Monk.
Hi,
Hi.
hi, Brendan. So Douglas, so Brendan, you sound Australian, maybe, or
Yes.
are
Yeah.
you in Aussie land now? Are you
Yeah, I'm in Melbourne, Australia. So yeah, Melbourne. Yeah.
amazing. I've always wanted to
Yeah.
go to your country. I feel so connected with Australia. I played a character who's Australian but pretending to be English, but I I've just love everything about Australia, yet I've never been. So hopefully soon.
Hopefully soon. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got so this is a pod, and you're from
I'm
what?
from originally Estes Park, Colorado, but now I'm in Phoenix, Arizona.
Nice, lovely. So do you guys, is this your show, your own podcast that you guys do every week, or?
Yeah, pretty much. He's my newest co-host of the show. My previous co-host is actor Andy McPhee, but he's currently doing the behind the scenes stuff now. So it's Brendan and me.
Well, that's great. I mean,
Mm.
you guys seem like a really like a great kind of contrasting pair. Do you know what I'm saying? To you know, you need that. I did a podcast called Every Friday with Dan and Olivia, and you know, we had that kind of chemistry where you can bounce off each other, and you know,
Yeah,
start on one topic and we digress into something kind of even more interesting, but then sort of bookend it back. There were no real specific rules and regulations in
Mm.
terms of keeping it very linear, so to speak, because it was sort of a pop, like a pop art about the covered music and movies. And you know, we had interviewed everyone from directors to musicians to hypnotists to
yeah.
uh, very interesting people, you know. So I
Mm.
love podcasts, and I think so many people you know, it makes their week to kind of tune in and see what you guys are presenting in terms of content.
And Brendan and me are on the autism spectrum, by the way.
Oh, great. Wonderful. I'm actually producing a film and I'm in it. I'm also playing a character in it called Quigley 2, which is it's a, it's the next film made after the first one, which was quite successful. And it also covers some of the actors in it. They're actually really autistic. So we decided to do that rather than casting actors playing, or you know, there's just something so magical, I think, that is going to come from that, the essence of that.
Yeah, that makes sense. What is England like? I've always wanted to go there, and I have my ancestry there.
Same.
England is a beautiful place. It's magical. I mean, it's got a lot of culture. My father, for example, lives in the countryside in England, in the Cotswolds. So as you start to get more into the deep countryside near Bath and Stonehenge and places like that, you get closer to the Druids, and you get closer to sort of places like Stratford upon Avon, where William Shakespeare was born and where he came from, and the genesis of Shakespeare and real theatre and plays. You know, was obviously you've got so many writers that sort of came about in the 18th century. Virginia Woolf being sort of our first feminist. It's just very rich in culture, but there's something ye old English about it still, which I love. You've got the pubs, you've got, you know, obviously Harry Potter, I think really emphasizes that there's the, you know, the majestic parts of England, these
Mm.
castles that suddenly, you know, you find that kind of like you're driving down a road and you look at, and oh, there's a hill, and yeah, there's this absolutely massive 15th century castle, you know, on this hill. That is, and you're living in 2023. So I love that, which is what I love about all of Europe, is that sense of antiquity. I love
Mm.
that because especially now in today's world, there's so much massive change. It seems like we cram in 10 years worth of stuff into each year now, almost
Yeah.
decades worth of stuff. So, the human brain is still adapting to that, I mean, and we've done a pretty good job because it's been pretty consistent now for 3 years. But I like being reminded that there's something older, bigger, culture that surrounds me, or that I can encounter whilst I'm trying to adapt to the changes of the world. And it puts things into perspective for me. So I specifically love that about England, and it was very moving going back there for the first time when it was safe to start flying back after COVID, not after COVID, but during COVID, to see my family, because I hadn't seen them in 3 years. So the rendezvous and the just getting back, seeing their faces and hugging them, and that sense of like emotional, visceral touch and love, and sharing stories, and not having to be quite as far away with this social distancing, because it's your family, and nobody had COVID at that stage. I didn't have it, none of them had it, so we were in a good zone, not in a danger zone. So that was made me appreciate England more, and my family more, and just, I don't know, this whole last 3 years has really made me appreciate life more. It's given me that, like, including what we're talking about today. We're here to talk about this magical movie that we made pre-COVID. I mean, quite some time between pre-COVID. It's what made me want to be a mom. And so I look at life very philosophically anyway. I'm sort of one of those kind of people. And so I sort of go by my gut and my intuition. And if I feel strongly about something, I sort of do it, or I go in that general direction of what feels good to me, that kind of lights up my whole aura and soul and spirit, because I know that it feels good to me. And that's not something that money can buy. Do you know what I mean? That's huge. Checking in with you, going, yes, this feels good. This feels like this is going to be good for me, and I'm happy. And it's that simple. And you just go. And then
it's like
brings all these other wonderful things because of that, like the spirit of this movie. If something's positive, if something has a kernel of love in it, or laughter, or joy is different than happiness. The feeling of joy, I think people misconstrue it sometimes. You can't be happy all the time, but you can choose to be joyful. And through that joyful intention, because that's a choice, then you can find happiness a lot more. So,
and it's like you sort of, like, it's nobody telling you, it's you that feels that. Then you go and, like, it's best to, like, do what you love and what you enjoy and what yourself is telling you. Yeah,
exactly. And I think over time, especially with technology and this, that, and the other, watching the news maybe a bit too much, all of that is stuff that you can choose to minimize and stay more with what feels good to you. You know what I'm saying? What is going to keep you safe and sound and feeling good. I've learned to do that a lot more over the last 3 years. Like, watch a bit of news, but if it starts to make me sad, or it starts to make me give me anxiety, I can always turn it off. That's a choice.
Yeah.
Yep.
If I want to breathe deeper, and I feel like, I feel a bit restricted, I have the opportunity or the choice to drive to the sea, or I can drive to the desert, or I can drive to a mountain range where I can just take in this nature around me, and then my problems start to diminish. So,
like with history too, I love, like, going to old places around where I am, and all that just calms me down, like old buildings and houses. Looking
me too. I like to
and,
go to national parks sometimes. I enjoy national parks in America.
Absolutely. Like Yellowstone. I mean, not just because of the series now, but I think more people are discovering what an absolute wonder and landmark Yellowstone is. That not only it's actually spread over 4 different states, right? So it's accessible to you depending on which one of them, with Montana, Idaho, I think, and Utah, and
Wyoming.
Wyoming, yeah. So that's actually, those are three really rather large parts of America, that kind of cover a pretty large landmass. And, like you said, I mean, you've got the culture there too. You've got, I mean, those ingrained stone carve outs of the president's heads.
Mount Rushmore.
Right. That's not in Yellowstone though, is it?
No, that's in South Dakota. But I did go to Yellowstone for the first time last year, and it was absolutely beautiful. Like, it's really, really amazing. All that wilderness, all that nature, and the animals. I saw grizzly bears.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope you weren't one of those people who
Oh,
followed a baby cub, followed a baby cub, and, oh, look at the baby cub. Like,
but
everyone knows that if you're going to follow a baby cub, that, oh, well, where's its mama? Oh, suddenly this mother is just like on her,
and you're being a bit of trouble, yeah.
Yeah, you've always got to sort of, that's actually, a big red flag. I tell all my friends if they're going out camping, they're like, I really want to see a baby cub. It's like, okay, well, if you do, just beware that, they don't ever stray that far. The mother never lets them stray that far from them. So there's always a mother or a father, a family of bears behind.
I also saw bison, a bald eagle, bison, grizzly bear, a black bear, bison, and bison.
Yeah,
I forgot another animal. Bison. And don't forget about bison.
No, don't forget about bison. We can't. But I saw a whole herd of bison as I was coming out of Yellowstone going into I was still in Yellowstone, but I went and had a meal with a friend of mine in Montana. And so it's that beautiful mountain range where supposedly some really famous woolly bison, really particularly woolly bison are. I mean, they look a bit like the woolly mammoths, don't they? I mean, they're not the size of elephants, but I mean, in terms of, they're different than buffalo, let's put it that way. They're much more, I think, prehistoric looking than buffalo.
Yeah.
And then I know people eat bison. Those who aren't vegans, bison is, they did. There's.
You see this?
You don't need it. Oh wow! Look at that. That's a really cool tattoo. I love it.
It's a bison with mountains in it.
I didn't see the. That's amazing. I didn't see.
Crescent moon is the horn. Yep.
Oh wow. That's really, really, really cool. That's like one of the most beautiful tattoos I've ever seen.
Awesome. I'm very proud of it. The bison is actually my favorite animal.
I can see why. And they're endangered, are they not?
They're not endangered, but there's still not as many as there were like centuries ago. Centuries ago, there were several million bison in America, but now it's like, I think it's now like 100,000 or something.
Yeah. They're sacred animals. I mean, obviously to the Native American Indians, I used to live in Taos, New Mexico, so they had a lot of bison and buffalo on the reservations there, but they used to do rain dances and all kinds of dances that were specifically dedicated to honoring the bison. And I think that they're almost like on the same level as gods, like in the way that cows are in India.
Yeah, for sure. That's all we have for now because I do have to run, but we thank you for coming on.
Thank
you, Olivia. Yeah,
so much fun to talk about the movie and to meet you guys. You guys are great, and happy Easter and Passover.
Yes, happy Easter. Yeah,
happy Easter, and
thank you.
Where can people find you, Olivia?
You can find me. I'm on Instagram, Olivia Darbo on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter and Olivia Darbo I've got the verified checker on Twitter, but for some reason there's something strange going on with Instagram thing.
Crazy.
I'm not even going to get into that, mate. All right.
Mm.
It's just like, I don't know what, it's the algorithm's a bit odd at the
Mm.
moment. So we'll see. But you can find me easily. You can tell it's me because it will be more personalized. And, there's pictures of me from recent, like a TV show a series I've just been doing called Hot Kitchen, and another film called Bandit, another film called Traveling Light. So it'll be very current. But it's Olivia Darbo at on Instagram.
All right, cool. Would you like down the road in a few months' time maybe to come back on and talk more about the Big Green or?
Sure, I'd be open to that and whatever else I'm doing, and I'd love to just, definitely. Uh, we can talk about anything.
Awesome. Is
Be
there any
awesome.
email I can write down for when that happens, or do you prefer I reach out on Instagram?
You can, just DM me.
On Instagram, okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Got it. Sounds good. So that's all we have for now, everybody. Let's thank Olivia and everybody else for appearing on the show, and we'll see you next week for the next episode of RNU.
See you next week.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.